Good morning, guys. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to our KHOU 11 morning news update. The way this works, we're having a conversation about some of the big stories of the morning, what you're clicking on and sharing on Facebook. We're starting with some really tough stories, and this seems to have been a theme this week, children getting hurt. And I know this is kind of rough to get through. I apologize. I won't linger too long on these stories, but if you want more information, you can find it on khou.com. We're starting with a situation that developed overnight, a case of road rage involving a family of four. Now, two toddlers are in the hospital there at UTMB Galveston, critically burned. So here's what happened. The family was in their car, family of four, on 249 when something sparked road rage with another vehicle. So the cars pull over into a gas station. Dad and the other driver jump out. They get into an argument. The other driver pulls out a gun. Dad panics, as you would, tries to drive away. The gunman's firing on that car, and deputies think bullets hit fireworks that the family had with them, causing an explosion inside the car. Good Samaritans were able to pull the family out. As I mentioned, those toddlers were airlifted to UTMB Galveston, but they have severe burns. The other driver, the one who fired on the family's car, has not yet been caught, but deputies say they do have surveillance video. They're trying to track down the driver of a light Ford Expedition, but absolutely heartbreaking, all of the factors in this case. We hope those little ones get the treatment they need and are back home as soon as they can be. My thoughts are with their parents as well. What an absolutely terrifying situation. Now we're going to jump over to Greens Point, where a 2-year-old girl was shot in the head overnight. She was in her dad's car. So what we know is that, or she was in a car with an adult. This is a little sketchy at this point. We don't have a lot of the details, but we know the shooting happened at Binmar and Cityview Place in Greens Point. So someone who was inside the car with the little girl exchanged fire with someone outside of the car. Again, not a lot of details. That little girl was in the back seat. She was hit in the head. She's in critical condition at Memorial Hermann. And, you know, Houston police are just fed up. This is another instance where a child has been hurt. And here's Assistant Chief Troy Finner.
It's not working.
Oh, okay. Apparently you couldn't hear that. I apologize. But he basically said whoever's responsible for what happened, the best thing you can do is turn yourselves in. We're batting 1,000 in the city of Houston right now. If anyone shoots or kills any one of our kids, we are going after them. So he's really pushing that person to turn himself in. Now a story with a weird turn, another shooting and fireworks related story, but this one has a lot of you clicking because I think based on comments, a lot of people see this as karma. So a robber hits a fireworks stand in North Harris County yesterday afternoon about 4 o'clock. Armed with a gun, wants the cash out of the till, puts his gun down to grab that money, and that's when an employee grabbed the gun, turned it on the robber, and shot him once. He's in critical condition in the hospital. Very critical condition, according to Harris County deputies. A lot of you have clicked on that story. We don't have a lot of information or details about that one either, but maybe a reminder that violent crime, not a good idea, period. End of story. You know what else isn't? We're going lighter here. Roll it, Jaime. There she is. The video everyone loves to see first thing in the morning. Our little Bluebell liquor getting that tin roof out of the freezer at, we now know, a Walmart in Lufkin, licking it, putting it right back in. Lufkin police say they think they've identified her. They haven't confirmed it yet, so we're waiting to hear on that. But in the meantime, we now know she is facing second-degree felony charges for tampering with a consumer product. So the punishment for this, in case you've ever considered being a copycat. There actually are a few videos out there copying. 2 to 20 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Plus, this goes on your record. We talked about this a couple days ago. Not a good idea. Don't do it. They're also looking for the cameraman who filmed that video. But you know what? So we know that happened in Corpus Christi. Let me show you how, or we know this happened in let me show you how they're responding in Corpus Christi. Yeah. They've got a guard. Not really. It's a staffer with a water gun, making sure nobody's licking the Bluebell in Corpus Christi at that Walmart there. Oh, the world we live in today. There's another look at the woman who licked the Bluebell and her suspected gunman. Or gunman, not gunman, cameraman. Very different. You can tell my brain's still on the previous stories. I don't want to end on a really sad note because so many of the stories we've covered this week are absolutely heartbreaking. So we're going to have a little fun heading into the weekend since it is Friday. One of the trending hashtags on Twitter this week has been my 5 movies. So the idea is 5 movies, that's all you get to watch for the rest of your life. What do you pick? You're going to want some variety, right? I put the question out to you on Twitter yesterday. Here's some responses. So many of you guys had something to say about it. So we have a lot of great ones. Some I saw mentioned over and over again. Avengers Endgame, The Dark Knight, Godfather. So I've seen some Godfather 1, Godfather 2. And then there are folks who cheat, like Jaime said the Godfather Epic, which is actually a version of the first 3 films mushed together.
In chronological order.
Yeah. So you get all the movies. Now you can't do that with Lord of the Rings, the whole series, because they didn't make that into one big movie like they did the Godfather Epic. So he found a workaround there. It will be a very long film, but at least it'll take up a lot of your time. You end up on a desert island or something.
Yeah, I think it's about almost 7 hours, I think.
Yeah. It's lengthy. So let us know what your top 5 would be. You can leave comments or questions on any of these other stories as well. As far as your forecast, it's getting hotter, guys. If you've stepped outside, you know, humidity is back in a big way, and it's only going to get hotter this weekend. We're talking about, feels like temperatures in the like 102 range. Good news is it'll be dry. So that is the upside in your forecast. Cheetah said it was looking like very little rain chance over the next 10 days. There you go. Comments, questions, Jaime?
Sure. First, we'll start by saying good morning to some of our viewers. Good morning to Linda, Myrtle, Abby, Jody, Giles, Sandra. Just thank you for all watching on this Friday morning. Obviously, the bits people are responding to are just these really sad and violent stories from overnight. Chrissy was asking about the condition of the 2-year-old that was shot, and I believe as we last heard, she was in critical condition. She was transported by her mom, driven by her mom to a hospital, and then from there, Lifeline took her to Memorial Hermann Hospital, where she's at right now.
Yeah, alive but in critical condition.
Yes. Just praying that she pulls through.
All week it's been these stories of children, innocent victims in crimes, whether it's random shootings, targeted shootings, road rage shootings. It has to stop.
Yeah, Tricia says, good morning, of course, but it's very sad that, these young babies and kids are getting hurt behind these thoughtless acts.
And I remember my first story that I ever covered here at KHOU was the death of a little girl. She was 7. She was in the back of her mom's car, in the back seat. It looks like her mom may have gotten in the way of 2 other cars that were drag racing. And one of the drivers was so mad, he just unloaded on her car and hit Damari in the back seat. And I'll never forget crying with her mom, Toya, that next day. It was so senseless. And, he probably didn't even know she was back there. He just wanted to teach this driver a lesson. That's not how you do it. And it seems like we've been covering so many of these road rage shootings in the past couple of months. We had a discussion in our post-show meeting after H-Town Rush this morning. Like, what is spurring this? Is it because there are more people out on the roads? Is it the heat? What are the factors there? And we don't really have a clear answer right now.
One thing we just want to clarify, Mary had a question about the 2-year-old that was shot in the head. If somebody shot from the car, and what police have said in their investigation so far is that yes, there was a shootout. Someone from inside the car where the toddler was shot out to someone who was outside the vehicle. It's not clear if that other person was in a vehicle themselves or standing outside, and it's not clear who from within that car where the toddler was opened fire, and it's not clear who also opened fire, which party opened fire first. Either
this
way,
one is a really sketchy story at this point. We don't have a lot of details. We're hoping to learn those over the coming hours. Michelle Choi has been covering this morning, and she's out there in the Greens Point area talking to investigators. So we hope to have more information. You can follow her at Michelle KHOU. She also posts to Facebook with updates, khou.com, and then we'll have an update on KHOU 11 News at noon as well. But all we really know is was an exchange of gunfire, and
correct.
A 2-year-old girl was shot in the head.
Yes.
Absolutely senseless.
It's heartbreaking. Linda says, this is so crazy. Babies hurt and killed seem to be the normal these days by the hands of parents, and it has to stop. It must stop. Something must be in the water down here. She just doesn't know what it is. It's like you asked, why is this all happening? These road rage incidents.
Well, and you could hear the frustration in Assistant Police Chief Troy Fenner's voice. He said, we've covered so many of these. We're responding to so many of these. You think about the toll that takes on our police as well. It takes a toll on reporters. Michelle Choi, our reporter, came in this morning and she's like, another kid? I have to go cover the death potentially of another kid, another shooting of a child. It eats away at you, and I think sometimes we're able to put up that wall and just do our job, but it takes a toll. It really, really does, on the community as well, clearly, because you guys are so tired of hearing these stories and wishing you could do something to stop it, and I just don't know what we do.
Gosh, there's so much response here. I can tell our viewers or feel like us where they're so tired of hearing these stories, day in and day out.
A lot of people are asking about the children. So we've had 3 children hospitalized this morning, just that what we've reported on. I don't know about any other incidents. 2 were burned. They're at UTMB Galveston. We know they were severely burned, so they're seeking treatment there. We don't have an update on how they're doing. And then the 2-year-old who was shot is in critical condition at Memorial Hermann. No, I hate to end it on this really, really sad note. Abby thanked us for keeping you updated on those stories. You bet. I wish they were happier. I wish we could head into the weekend on a good note, on a quiet note, but that was just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, these things are kind of just a reminder to make sure to take some time this weekend. Spend some quality time with your loved ones. Keep them close. Because you just never know when something like this is going to happen.
You know what else? It's a good reminder to pay kindness forward.
Yes, absolutely.
And just remember, all of us get frustrated in traffic in Houston. I mean, there isn't any right now, which is really nice. I was driving around yesterday and it was magic. It felt so nice to be out there with maybe 4 other cars. But just understand, if someone's in a hurry, they probably have a reason. Don't take it personally. We're seeing the response that is so beyond reasonable that it's not worth tempting fate. It's not worth getting into any of that. So just mind your P's and Q's, do your business, and get home, but be kind. I think that's always a good rule. All right, and on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. Hopefully your day is a little brighter. After this, we'll have an update at 2:15, and otherwise, have a wonderful weekend.